As we mentioned, Republicans have been going after that organization and its president, Cecile Richards, on Capitol Hill during a hearing, including this exchange with Republican Jim Jordan from Ohio.
You said, I personally apologize for the tone and statements, and I'm asking you a simple question. There was only one video at the time you issued this statement. When you did your video, there was only one video. I want to know, in that video that you were referencing, which statements were you apologizing for?
Well, Congressman, at the time, as you, I'm sure, remember, that video was released. We'd had no time to actually evaluate how much editing had happened. It was days later that we were able.
Which true statements in that video were you apologizing for, Ms. Richards?
I was reflecting that on that video, not any particular statement, that given the did not reflect the compassionate care that we provide at Planned Parenthood.
That raises an important question. So is what you said in your video untrue? You weren't really apologizing for statements made?
I was apologizing for what was said in a non-clinical setting, in a non-appropriate way, and I don't believe
you can't have it both ways. You can't say I'm apologizing for statements in one video and then not tell us what those statements were.
Representative Jordan continued berating her. Nancy Cordes joins us now. So we were both watching this hearing unfold on television, and it occurred to me that this particular member of Congress sounded more like a cable news anchor trying to get a certain point across. There was not a lot of time for an answer from Cecile Richards here.
Right, and that's a pretty common tactic in some of these hearings where you've got members who want to make a point, who have a witness that they consider to be antagonistic, so they ask these questions in rapid fire, and often the witness doesn't really have much of a chance to answer because they're trying to stick within their 5-minute window. In this case, Congressman Jordan was trying to get Richards to explain why in the days after the release of the first video, she said that she was apologizing for not just the tone that one of the doctors from Planned Parenthood used in the video, but for the statements that she made. And he was trying to get her to explain, well, what was it? What statement did she make that turned out not to be true? What exactly did she say that was wrong? And Richards couldn't quite give him an answer. It seems like they were just trying to do damage control back when all this happened, when all this went down, trying to get out in front of it and saying, look, this is a blanket apology. We're sorry for anything that took place on these videos. But in the time that has that we've seen since, where more and more of these videos have come out, I think that Planned Parenthood has taken sort of a more aggressive stance, saying these videos were highly edited. Anything that our doctors said that didn't fit with this activist group was edited out, and they're not taking as apologetic of a tone now as they were in the beginning.
There was also an interesting moment that happened when the committee chairman put up a graphic that showed declining breast exams and increasing mammograms. Of course, that would matter if the funding that's coming from the federal government is intended for women's health care and not for abortion. So that might be used to support that. And he was asking for an explanation. And Richard said, look, I don't know where that graphic is coming from. I have no idea where it comes from. The chairman says, it came from your report. And Richard said, no, it didn't. I'm just being informed right now that it's coming from an anti-abortion group that's provided that to you. And then he said, well, we'll look into it. How much faith can the American public have? People who are interested in this issue, interested in what money from the federal government is being used for at Planned Parenthood. How can they have any confidence in the facts that are emerging in this hearing?
It's very difficult because this is one of the issues that so polarizes Congress. And several lawmakers have pointed out in this hearing, look, this isn't really a debate about Planned Parenthood and the services that it provides. This is a proxy for a debate about abortion, which still rages here in Congress and across the country. There are lawmakers who believe that abortion is wrong, and therefore, if Planned Parenthood provides abortions, they say that those lawmakers are going to believe that Planned Parenthood is in the wrong no matter what. Planned Parenthood is arguing, look, abortion is legal. Yes, we provide it, but we don't take federal funds except in very rare cases, such as the life of the mother or if the mother was raped. They say, and this is true, that the lion's share of the money that they get from the federal government is reimbursements for services that they provide primarily to Medicaid patients, women who come to Planned Parenthood clinics just like they go to other clinics around the country that serve a low-income population because they want things like birth control, they want to get screenings, they want to have a breast exam. Those are the kinds of services that Planned Parenthood gets reimbursed for, just like hospitals get reimbursed for seeing Medicaid patients.
You know, it's interesting because I thought her opening statements included some interesting statistics. She testified that Planned Parenthood serves 78% of Planned Parenthood patients with incomes below 150% of the federal poverty level. Approximately 60% of Planned Parenthood patients access care through Medicaid or Title X family planning program. 21% of the counties with a Planned Parenthood health center, they're the only safety net family planning provider. So if federal funding for them would end up going, you might end up with many, many women who have no access to birth control pills. And what would that do to the explosion of unwanted pregnancies? I mean, it's something to consider. Do you feel like there is a groundswell of support for ending funding for Planned Parenthood at this point?
I certainly believe that there are a number of Republicans who would like to see this money go elsewhere. They argue that federal dollars don't need to go to Planned Parenthood when there are other community health centers out there. Now, as you point out, the community health service in this country is very uneven. You've got some lawmakers in that hearing that's taking place who are saying, look, the women in my district have plenty of other places to go. You've got other lawmakers who are saying, well, great, we wish that we had some of your community health centers because in our district, Planned Parenthood really is the only option, particularly in some of these very rural areas. So, you know, this is a fight that has been going on for decades, and you know, one controversy, one hearing is not going to change that. I do think at the end of the day, the votes to pull Planned Parenthood funding altogether just don't exist. So while this is going to be a very loud fight, this isn't a fight that's going to lead to the outcome that many Republican lawmakers wish that it would.
Nancy Cordes, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome, Contessa.